Hear, O Yashar'Al, the great I am, the great spirit is the only power for you. The great I am, the great spirit is one. Speak peace on this day of rest. Blessings be upon you. Rise, O Yashar'Al. Welcome to Word War 3. Our reference today would be Isaiah chapter 29, verse 21. And this message will be entitled Anti-Semitism versus Negroland. Now, House Resolution HR 1911, Special Envoy to Monitor and Combat Anti-Semitism Act of 2018. And that was the 115th Congress from 2017 through 2018. The prophet Isaiah in chapter 29 speaks of a time when people will be offenders of simple words, then try to destroy that person. Now, Isaiah goes on to say in verse 23 that he will see his children, the works of his hands. In the midst of him, they shall sanctify God's name and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the God of Israel. And again, this is Jacob seeing his children, is what Isaiah says. That he will see his own children, not any other people, his own children. But again, this anti-Semitism act of Congress, what they want to do is penalize people for simply saying Jews are not Jews, or Jews are racist, or any other thing, blah, blah, blah. Well, we always remind our visitors, our faithful readers, that Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening is not a racist religious hate group. We simply live here. So instead of being on trial for anti-Semitism, please allow the Ashkenazi, meaning German, Jewish ethno-religion to speak for itself. Here we have the protocols of the elders of the Zion, written in Russia in 1903. It is said to be a fabricated story that the Ashkenazi Jews would conquer the world for Zionism. Now, the Bolsheviks, which are Jewish Russian rebels, murdered the Romanovs, the Tsar of Nicholas, by ritual sacrifice, and this happened in 1917. There was an Orthodox bishop who claimed this. Today, the Jews are denying that they murdered the Romanovs by ritual sacrifice. We all know that the murders happened, but not ritual sacrifice. That's the point that they're trying to make. And the point that I want to make right now is that Beta Israel, which are the Ethiopian Jews, B'nai Israel, which are the Negroland Jews, which are like, the Negroland is all of North Africa, and the African Hebrew Israelites, which are the Negroes that have come from the United States who have reclaimed their identity as Hebrews scattered, along with other indigenous other indigenous Palestinians of Northeast Africa. We include Israel in Northeast Africa. All these people are there suffering today. I just want to make that point. Now, here's what they say of themselves. Esau, Edom is modern Jewry. Again, Esau, Edom is modern Jewry. And this is a 1925 Jewish Encyclopedia, volume 5, page 41. They say this of themselves, that they are Esau, they are Edomites, they are Edomians. The Edomite Jewish began to call themselves Hebrew and Israelites in 1860. Now, before, they were calling themselves Jewish, which derives from King Bulan of the late 700s, early 800s, DC or AD. Excuse me, AD, after the death of Christ. And this again, Edomite Jews began to call themselves Hebrew and Israelites in 1860, and this is found in the Encyclopedia Judaica, 1971, volume 10, 23. 1860. That's when you Negroes and you Indigenous Americans were enslaved in Indian camps and in the United States, like in slavery. But they decided to take your name in 1860. Shlomo Sand, an Israeli professor of history at the Tel Aviv University, wrote The Invention of the Jewish People in 2009. He speaks contrary to colonial qElders in Israel. Henry Ford, made famous for the Ford Motor Company. Those of you driving Ford vehicles around, that's him. That's his product, or his family product. He wrote The International Jew, the World's Problem, in 1920. This is 3 years after the Romanovs were murdered by the Jewish people. In 1920, this article was found in the Dearborn Independent. Later, it became a book. Adolf Hitler and Nazi terrorism was influenced by Henry Ford. And what's not being told to the American public, what's not being told to, our youngsters, our people, is that Hitler was giving them the freedom to go other places. Now, Jewish people own banks. They could have helped their people, their own. They could have helped their own. Adolf Hitler was opening up Namibia in Africa, the Congo, Madagascar was one of the big ones. They had documents on, hey, go to Madagascar. Siberia. Today, there's a Jewish oblast over in eastern Russia. Today, there's places that he was telling them to go, leave. Just like what the United States Department of War did to the Native Americans. Hey, we want you guys to go over there. We don't understand what y'all doing. We don't like you. So go to these reservation camps. That's exactly what Hitler was doing to the Jewish people. It's the same thing. Again, Adolf Hitler and Nazi terrorism was influenced by the United States. Not being told. Arthur Koestler, made commander of the Order of the British Empire, and it's abbreviated CBE, if you want to look that up. And he is who wrote the 13th Tribe, the Khazar Empire and its Heritage. He wrote this book in 1976. And again, today we have medical doctors. There's even Jewish doctors who are saying that the Khazars have no ethical heritage with the people of the book or the people of the land that's there today. No ethical heritage. Medically, the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 3379 called Ashkenazi, meaning German, Zionism in Israel racist. This was adopted on 10 November 1975 by a vote of 72 countries over 35 countries. That's a high margin. These countries was calling the government of Israel racist. It was later to be reviewed or revoked in 1991 by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 4686. A quick note, Encyclopedia of Ellis Island on Ashkenazi, again, German Jews, they didn't have to change their names at that time. They put their family names on the ship's manifest, because this is a time when visas weren't popular. So they put their names on the ship's manifest, and this is how we got. This is how we know that Jewish people came over here. It wasn't just anybody to say, oh, it was just white people, whatever. It was actually Jewish people because of their name. So that's how they traced their lineage. And they sailed over and left the tyranny and came to the United States, came to their United States saviors here in their liberty. Gideon Levy, who is a Jewish journalist of the Haaretz magazine in Tel Aviv, Israel, he has praised Ilhan Omar, I guess she's a congresswoman or something like that, who spoke out against the Jewish people, and they were calling her anti-Semitic or something like that. But again, he praised her. He's a Jewish journalist in Tel Aviv, praising this woman who spoke out against his people, and also calling, and again, Gideon Levy is also calling the Israeli government colonials. I'm going to put all these links down at the bottom so you can see for yourself. I want to thank Miss Amy Goodman from Democracy Now! And her interview with Mr. Gideon Levy, and also Shlomo San in his interview at RT, which is on YouTube as well. And these men are actually living today, speaking on what's going on in Israel. My last final point to make about Negroland, about being Negroes. You see, Benai Israel has named the Negro, Nigeria, Niger, Negro. These are names that have been put on us from our ancestors, later to be misused by European colonists to belittle our name, Negro, which means prince of the power. Beta Israel, Neguste, is also a word that means prince. So we look up to our ancestors, and they're looking down on us, telling us that you are princes, you are leaders, you are prince of the power, you are the prince of the power of that land. That's what they are actually telling us. But our language has been misused. You see, because even in Hebrew, the word for leader is Nagid, a rough translation of Naga. We Hebrew Israelites know that now. And I am here to give you an Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening. This wind walking moment is for you to wake up and realize that the people that are being terrorized, actually being terrorized, are the Negroes. And everything in that book is pertaining to them. I am your conscientious objector, a minister of peace. I am also a Hebrew Israelite. With that being said, Hebrew Israelite out.